You know what separates the great from the legendary? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's belief. A belief so deep, so unshakable, that even when the whole world says it will not enough, you say, watch me. When the spotlight's off, when the crowd is gone, when no one's clapping, do you still believe in you? Because here's the truth, the world will doubt you. They'll laugh, they'll overlook you. But if you back yourself, there's not a force on earth that can stop you. This is the story of how a man became his own biggest fan, not by waiting for applause, not by chasing validation, but by trusting himself before the world ever did. Belief starts when no one is watching. There's a moment in every champion's journey when the noise fades away. No applause. No spotlight, no one posting your name or singing your praises. It's just you and the goal you've written inside your soul. That's the battlefield where real belief is born, not on game day, not under the floodlights, but in the dark, quiet corners of your grind, when no one's there to clap, when no one's around to notice. Belief doesn't begin when others believe in you. It begins long before that, when the only one clapping for you is you. When you wake up before the sun because you know you've got something to chase, when you stay after the session to do one more drill, one more rep, one more sprint, even though no one told you to. That's belief. Real belief isn't loud. It doesn't need witnesses. It doesn't beg for validation. It just works, relentlessly, consistently, and fearlessly, when no scouts are watching, when the coaches aren't calling your name, when fans have never heard of you. That's when belief is tested. That's when it matters most. Because if you can push yourself with no audience, you're already ahead of the ones who only shine when people are watching. When you train like the world is watching, even when no one is, you're setting a standard that can't be shaken by opinions, critics, or failure. This kind of belief is raw. It's built from hunger, from a vision you see so clearly it keeps you awake at night. It's the fire that says, I don't care if no one sees me today, I'm still becoming something great. Champions aren't made in front of crowds. They're made when the camera is off, when the gym is empty, when everyone else thinks it's over. That's when the heart speaks loudest. That's when belief is forged. You don't wait for the contract, the opportunity, the approval. You build yourself while others sleep. You take the shot even when it's invisible to the world, because you know one day they'll see what you always saw. That's the power of believing before the world does. And when the world finally notices, you're not surprised, because in your mind, in your blood, you've already arrived. It's easy to believe in yourself when the crowd is chanting your name, but what about when no one believes in you? That's the true test. That's when you find out if your dream is real or just a wish. Real belief doesn't need an audience. It doesn't depend on likes, followers, or fame. It starts in the silence, and it roars louder every time you choose to keep going alone. So when you're in that quiet place, grinding without praise, sweating without reward, remember that's where the best version of you is being built. That's where champions are born. Silence builds champions. There's a different kind of strength that's born in silence. Not the silence of giving up, but the silence of grinding, of locking in, of going deep into your mission with no distractions. It's in the silence, early mornings, late nights, alone in the gym, alone with your thoughts, where champions are built. The world can have its noise, its gossip, its spotlight games. The real ones, they're too busy in the shadows becoming unstoppable. While others talk, you train. While others party, you plan. While others post, you practice. That's the separation. The silence is not emptiness, it's focus. In silence, there's no room for excuses, no one to impress, no time to waste. Just you and the work. You and your obsession. Champions don't need noise to fuel them, they thrive in the quiet, Because they know, every drop of sweat in silence leads to a roar on the stage. The silence teaches discipline, it makes you honest. There's no one to blame, no one to hide behind. If you're tired, you keep going. If you fail, you fix it. If you're doubted, you don't argue, you prepare. That's the mindset of someone who's not here to compete. They're here to dominate. You don't have to talk about it, you just have to be about it. Let your silence speak for you until the results are so loud they can't ignore you. In the silence, the mind sharpens. You stop thinking like the rest. You don't chase trends or shortcuts. You build habits, you master details, you become obsessed with progress. People on the outside don't understand. They think you're missing out. They don't see what's coming. But you do. You're building something bigger than approval. You're building legacy. That's why the greats disappear before they explode, they go silent before they go global. The silence is their training ground, their sanctuary. It's not a weakness, it's a weapon. Because while others are waiting for motivation, you're already 10 steps ahead. While they need noise, you've already turned pain into power. The silence strips away everything fake. It leaves only the truth, do you want it or not. Are you willing to suffer for it? Will you still show up when no one's watching, when it's boring, when it's boring, when it's hard, when it hurts, when it hurts? That's where champions are tested, that's where they're forged. People fear silence because it exposes them. But you? Use it. You thrive in it. You understand that real success doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being built. And everything worth having is built in the dark, not in the spotlight. The silence is not your enemy. It's your head. Prove yourself right. Not that that's wrong. There's a huge difference between chasing greatness. Too many people waste energy trying to prove others wrong, to silence the critics, to shut the doubters down, get revenge on everyone who ever overlooked them. But the ones who rise to the top, the ones who stay there, they don't move like that. Their fire doesn't come from hate. From hate. It comes from belief. They don't live to make others eat their words. They live to fulfill their own vision. The mission isn't revenge, it's legacy. When you play to prove people wrong, you're giving them power. You're letting their voices live rent-free in your mind. You're not moving forward, you're reacting. But when you play to prove yourself right, everything changes. You're not motivated by anger, you're driven by purpose. You've got a clear picture in your mind of who you are and who you're becoming, and that image becomes your obsession. You're not trying to get back at the coach who benched you or the teacher who said you'd never make it. You're trying to reason of yourself that you know is possible. You know it's possible. You don't care if others see it yet. You see, you believe in it. That's all that matters. That's what keeps you grinding when no one's clapping. That's what pushes you through the injuries, the setbacks, the long days and lonely nights. You don't need a crowd to tell you you're good. You already know the work you've done, the sacrifices you've made, the hunger in your heart that never lets you settle. That's why proving yourself right is different. It's not about pride. It's about staying loyal to the promise you made to yourself when you start. It's about becoming everything you told yourself you would be, long before anyone believed you could. Every time you train while others rest, you're proving yourself right. Every time you say no to distractions and yes to the mission, you're proving yourself right. Every drop of sweat, every ounce of focus, every silent decision that takes you one step closer. It's all a reflection of that inner belief. That's what separates those who make noise from those who make history. When the critics talk, let them. When the doubters laugh, ignore them. Their words aren't your fuel, your vision is. And your vision doesn't depend on their applause. It depends on your consistency, your discipline, your inner drive. You don't need that disbelief to push you. You've already got enough belief to move mountains. The truth is, people forget. They forget what they said, how they doubted, how they overlooked you. But you remember, and not out of anger, out of clarity. Because you know the path you're walking isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right every single day, brick by brick, until the world finally catches up to the standard you already set for yourself. You don't need revenge. You need results. You don't need noise. You need focus. You don't need to answer anyone's doubts. You just need to keep showing up and becoming the person you already saw in your mind when you were still unknown. That's the real game. That's the real victory. Obsession beats talent. Talent can be born, but obsession is built. And when the game's on the line, when it's time to separate the greats from the average, talent alone isn't enough. What wins isn't who was born with the most. It's who wants it the most. It's who's willing to outwork, outlast, and outgrind everyone in the room. And that comes from obsession. Obsession doesn't sleep. It doesn't take days off. It doesn't get bored or distracted. Obsession is hungry all the time. It's what makes you train when your body is aching. It's what keeps you locked in when others are drifting. Obsession turns repetition into what? It turns pain into power. It takes raw talent and molds it into something unstoppable. Talent might win early. Talent might get the spotlight first. But obsession stays in the shadows, building, growing, studying. Going, studying. Obsession doesn't care about attention. It cares about evolution. It wakes up every day with one mission, get better. Not just good, not just great, legendary. And that mindset destroys entitlement. It kills ego. Because obsession knows there's always another level to reach. The world loves talent, but it fears obsession. It doesn't stop when it's tired. It stops when it's done. When others hit the wall, obsession breaks through it. When others settle, obsession gets sharper. It doesn't compare. It doesn't compare. It doesn't copy. It creates. It dominates. It doesn't need motivation. It is the motivation. Obsession makes you uncomfortable. And that's the point. You're not trying to fit in. You're trying to rise above. You're not chasing balance. You're chasing greatness. And greatness demands sacrifice. Sleep less. Party less. Talk less. Talk less. Work more. Study more. Grow more. Obsession makes you choose the harder road. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Because deep down, you know that's the only path to true greatness. Talent is potential. Obsession is power. Talent can win games. Obsession wins eras. Talent may give you a head start, but obsession carries you across the finish line, again and again, long after the talented one stop. The truth is, talent gets tired. Talent gets distracted. But obsession stays locked in. It has one gear. Forward. You don't have to be the most talented. You just have to be the most obsessed. You don't need to have the perfect start. You just need to refuse to stop. When others are comfortable, obsession pushes harder. And when the lights go off, obsession stays on. It's not seasonal. It's not occasional. It's not a part-time. Obsession is a lifestyle. It doesn't come from wanting success. Everyone wants success. Obsession comes from needing it, from breathing it, bleeding it, bleeding it, living it. It's not a phase, it's who you are. And when you operate from that place, talent doesn't scare you. Competition doesn't faze you. You know what you've put in. You know how deep your roots go. The world can praise the gifted. Let them. Because when the pressure hits, when everything's on the line, talent will blink and obsession will keep going. Motivation comes from within. There's a reason why some people never stop, why they keep pushing, no matter the conditions, no matter who's watching or what the scoreboard says. It's because the motivation doesn't come from outside. It doesn't come from applause, trophies, or even hate. It comes from deep within. From a place that most people never reach because they're too busy waiting to feel inspired. The champions, they don't wait, they create. When your motivation is internal, nothing can stop you. Not failure, not pain, not doubt. You wake up hungry, even when there's nothing on the schedule. You train like your life depends on it, even if no one's keeping score. It's not about being seen. It's about becoming. Every day, every rep, every moment, you're chasing the version of yourself you see in your head. And that vision is stronger than any outside force. People think motivation is a feeling. It's not. It's a choice. A decision to show up, to work, to fight, no matter what. It's easy to move when everything is going your way, when people are cheering, when the momentum's behind you. But what about when it's not? What about when it's just you, tired, hurting, questioning everything? That's where inner motivation separates the strong from the average. The ones who wait for motivation to come from others, they burn out. They rise fast and fall faster because their fire isn't real. It's borrowed. But those who generate it from within, they're unshakable. Their drive is consistent. Their mindset is stable. They don't need perfect conditions to give maximum effort. They give everything, every time, because that's who they are. It's about standards. The standard you set for yourself in silence, the one no one else sees, but you follow like a law. That's real motivation. That's what keeps you pushing when the body says stop. That's what keeps you locked in when distractions try to pull you out. You've got a mission. And nothing, not boredom, not failure, not fatigue, is stronger than that. When your motivation comes from within, you stop being influenced by the ups and downs of the world. You stop reacting. You start owning. Your process becomes untouchable because it doesn't depend on anything external. You've learned how to light your own fire, and that fire burns through obstacles, through doubt, through fear. This is why the best are often misunderstood. People don't get how they can be so obsessed, so driven, so relentless, even when there's no immediate reward. But they don't need others to get it. They just keep going because their reason, their why, lives inside them. And once you have that, once you build that source of inner energy, you're dangerous. You don't slow down. You don't need reminders. You don't get comfortable. You just work consistently, quietly, brutally. That's what separates motivation from within and motivation from the outside. The outside fades, the inside grows. Take the stairs, no shortcuts. Everyone wants to climb. That's the truth. That's the truth. In a world full of shortcuts, hacks, and easy routes, very few people are willing to take the stairs. The long way, the hard way, the way that builds real strength, real character, real results. But the ones who do, they're the ones who stay on top when others fall. Taking the stairs means choosing discomfort over convenience. It means doing it right, even when it's slower, even when no one's watching, even when no one's clapping. It's the decision to build a foundation so solid, nothing can shake it. It's understanding that every step matters, every rep counts, every moment of struggle is an investment, not a waste. Shortcuts look tempting, they promise space, fame, glory without the grind, but they steal from you. They take away the process that makes you strong enough to handle success. Because without the climb, you don't learn how to hold the weight, you don't develop the mindset, you don't earn the identity. And when things get real, you crumble. Because you skipped the struggle that would have made you unbreakable. The stairs, they're brutal. They humble you, they test you. They make you question everything. Your will, your patience, your commitment. But they also reward you. With discipline, with toughness, with pride. When you take the stairs, you're not just getting stronger physically, you're sharpening your mind. You're learning how to suffer, how to stay focused, how to keep moving when everything inside you says stop. You can't fake that. You can't skip that. You have to earn it. Every single day. And yeah, it's slower, but it's real. And real always wins. Because the stairs don't just take you up, they prepare you to stay there. You didn't get lucky, you got relentless. You didn't skip levels, you mastered every single one. It's not about arriving fast, it's about arriving ready. And you only get that through the grind, through repetition. Through learning to love the climb as much as the destination. Every step becomes part of your story. The part they don't see, but the part that built everything. When you take the stairs, you learn to appreciate the process. You stop looking for instant gratification, start chasing excellence. You become addicted to growth, not just achievement, and that mindset. It makes you dangerous, because you're not fragile, you're not afraid of hard. You've already lived it, embraced it, overcome it. Taking the stairs builds patience. It builds resilience. It teaches you that real success takes time, and that's okay, because time sharpens you. Time reveals who really wants it. Time separates the talkers from the doers. And if you've been climbing that whole time, step after step, no matter how slow, you're winning. Quietly, steadily, completely. Steadily, completely. The ones who last, the ones who dominate, they all took the stairs. Because when you take the stairs, you build the kind of strength shortcuts will never give you. Celebrate the work, not just the wins. Most people only clap when the trophy is lifted. Only smile when the scoreboard says a victory. Only care when the spotlight hits. But the ones who rise above the rest, the true greats, they've learned to celebrate something else. They celebrate the work, the grind, the process, the struggle, because they know the win is just a reflection of what happened long before game day. The real achievement isn't in the final score, it's in everything you did when no one was watching. When you celebrate the work, you stop being addicted to results. You stop living and dying by what the world says about you. You stop chasing temporary highs. Instead, you fall in love with consistency. You start to crave the early mornings, the late nights, the repetition that most people run from. You start to take pride in how far you've come, even if the world hasn't noticed yet. The work is where the identity is built. That's where you earn the right to be confident. That's where you forge discipline. That's where you create separation. Because while others are only happy when they win, you're already fulfilled before the results come in. You already know who you are. You know what you've done. You don't need a medal to feel proud. The effort was the reward. Celebrating the work means every rep matters, every film session, every sprint, every sacrifice, because you know it's all adding up. You're not just showing up to train. And when you understand that, every session becomes a step forward. Every drop of sweat becomes part of your blueprint. You stop chasing finish lines and you start building empires, one brick at a time. When you focus only on the wins, you become a slave to outcomes. You let the scoreboard decide your mood. But when you celebrate the work, you take control back. You realize that success isn't a moment, it's a mindset. It's not a one-time thing, it's a lifestyle. It's in how you show up every day, how you hold yourself accountable, how you push past excuses. That's what creates greatness. And the truth is, the work doesn't lie. It reveals everything. If you're consistent, it shows. If you're lazy, it shows. If you're obsessed, it shows. The work is honest. It exposes weakness and builds strength. It separates those who talk from those who do. And when you learn to love that process, even when it's brutal, even when it's boring, you become unstoppable. Because your joy doesn't depend on external things. It lives inside the grind. That's why the elite don't get too high for a win and they don't fall apart. Because their confidence isn't built on outcomes, it's built on work. They know that the win is a byproduct, a consequence, a reflection. But the real prize was earned long before the camera showed up. That was earned when they chose to show up again and again, regardless of how they felt. When you start celebrating the work, your game changes. You stop waiting for approval. You stop needing praise. You start owning your journey. Every session becomes sacred. Every hour matters. You know that the outcome is just the result of thousands of invisible moments that no one else will ever see. And you're okay with that. Because you didn't do it for them. You did it for the standard you set for yourself. That's the mindset that keeps you grounded. That's the fire that keeps you moving when others get satisfied. Because you're not chasing moments, you're building something timeless, and that can only be done through the work. Be loyal to your standards, not your feelings. There will be days when you don't feel like it. When the body's tired. When the mind's foggy. When the fire feels dim. And on those days, if you're only loyal to your feelings, you'll fall off. You'll take the easy route. You'll skip the session. You'll make excuses. But if you're loyal to your standards, the ones you set when you're clear, focused, and locked in, then it doesn't matter how you feel. You still show up. Feelings are unpredictable. They change with the weather, the mood, the feedback you get from others. But standards are solid. They're the code you live by, the rules you created for yourself, not when things were easy, but when you were serious about your goals. And if you stick to those rules, even on the hardest days, you win. On the hardest days, you win. You grow. You separate. Being loyal to your standards means you don't need to feel great to do great things. You don't need motivation to give maximum effort. You just need commitment, a decision made once and follow through every day. That's discipline. That's ownership. It's ownership. That's how you become consistent, and consistency is the key to everything. Consistency is what turns average into elite. You can't trust your feelings. They'll lie to you. They'll tell you to sleep in, to take a break, to relax when it's time to push. And if you listen to those feelings, you'll miss the reps that matter most, the hard ones, the ones that separate you, because anyone can work when it's easy, but only the committed work when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when it hurts. Loyalty to your standards toughness. It makes you reliable, not just to others, but to yourself. It means you can trust yourself under pressure. It means you don't have to wonder if you'll show up. You know you will. Because your actions aren't dictated by how you feel. They're dictated by what you've decided. And that decision becomes your foundation, your edge, your armor. This is where the game really changes. Because once you stop needing to feel like it, you become dangerous. You become consistent. And consistency beats intensity every time. You don't burn out because you're not chasing highs. You're building habits. And those habits carry you on the days your emotions try to pull you off track. It's not about denying how you feel. It's about not being controlled by it. You feel tired, but you still train. You feel frustrated, but you still stay focused. You feel tempted to slack off, but you remember the standard. That's power. That's mental toughness. That's the difference between those who chase motivation and those who create momentum. When you're loyal to your standards, you stop negotiating with yourself. There's no debate, no second guessing. You do what you said you would do every single time. And that kind of self-respect, that kind of commitment, it compounds. It builds trust with yourself. And once you trust yourself, you stop needing validation from others. You stop looking outside for strength. Because you've already proven to yourself over and over that you don't quit. You don't bend. You don't lower your standard, no matter how you feel. Use doubt as fuel. Doubt is powerful. But only if you know how to use it. Most people let it destroy them. They let it creep in and take control, whispering lies in the back of their minds. You're not good enough. You'll never make it. You don't have what it takes. They let it stop them before they even begin. But the elite, they do something different. They turn doubt into fire. Into fuel for the next step, the next rep, the next level. When people say, you can't, they're just handing you a gift. A new reason to go harder, a new voice to silence, a new wall to break through. Because doubt doesn't have to be a cage. It can be a weapon. You can take every insult, every laugh, every bit of disbelief and turn it into obsession. Not to prove others wrong, but to prove yourself right. To confirm the vision you've had since day one. There's a reason the great ones are often doubted early. Because what they believe about themselves is too big, too bold, too uncomfortable for the average mind to accept. But they don't shrink. They don't retreat. They double down. They let the noise push them deeper into the grind. While others waste energy trying to be understood, they channel that energy into becoming undeniable. Doubt has a sound. You can hear it in the way people talk, the hesitation, the sarcasm, the disbelief. But instead of blocking it out, listen to it, not emotionally, strategically. Let it remind you why you started. Let it remind you of the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Let it sharpen your focus, not shake your faith. Because doubt only wins if you let it distract you, if you let it slow you down. But if you use it right, it becomes a gift, a trigger. A reason to lock in even harder. You don't fight doubt by arguing with it. You don't silence it by getting defensive. You destroy it with results. You respond with action, with consistency, with execution so sharp no one can question it. That's how you flip the script. That's how you take control. Doubt becomes background noise. It's there, but it doesn't touch you. It just pushes you forward. People think confidence means never feeling doubt. That's wrong.
True confidence is feeling the doubt and without that moving.
True confidence is hearing the voices, the critics, the fears, and still doing the work, still showing up, still delivering, because deep down you've built something stronger than fear. You've built belief, not the fake loud kind. The quiet, unshakable kind that comes from hours of lonely work. From reps in the dark, from promises kept to yourself over and over again. Doubt doesn't care how good you are. It will still show up. It will still whisper. But now you know what to do with it. You flip it. You flip. You don't run from it. You run with it. You use it to remind yourself why you can't slow down, why you can't get soft, why the mission isn't over. Because every time you use doubt as fuel, you get closer to mastery. Closer to becoming someone the doubt can't even touch. And the best part? When you've been fueled by doubt long enough, it stops hurting. It starts to feel familiar. You expect it. You even smile when it shows up because you know what's coming. Another level, another breakthrough, another chance to prove, not to the world, but to yourself, that you're built different. Silence is strength. In a world full of noise, the loudest person usually gets the attention, but not always the respect. The real ones, the dangerous ones, the ones who last, they move in silence. They don't need to announce every move. They don't need to post every session, every deal, every moment of grind. Because their validation doesn't come from likes, comments, or class. It comes from the work, the standard, the mission. Silence isn't weakness. It's control. It's composure. Composure is clarity. When you're silent, you're focused. You're not distracted by opinions or chasing reactions. You're locked in on one thing, results. And that mindset gives you power. It lets you stay low while the noise gets loud. Too many people waste energy trying to be seen, trying to be liked. But the strong, they save their energy for execution, for consistency, for growth. They're not trying to impress anyone in the short term. They're playing the long game. And in the long game, silence is lethal. Because while the world is watching the loud ones, the quiet ones are working, preparing, building. And by the time the noise fades, they've already taken a spot. Silence sharpens you. It trains you to listen, to observe, to think. While others are quick to speak, quick to show, quick to seek attention, you're steady, you're disciplined. You understand the power of not reacting, the strength of not oversharing, the confidence of not needing to explain yourself every time you take a step forward. Being silent doesn't mean being passive. It means being intentional, strategic, deadly efficient. You don't waste time proving. You spend time perfecting. You don't ask for permission. You just deliver. And when it's time to speak, your actions speak louder than anything you could have said. The world won't always understand your silence. They'll assume you're done or you've got nothing going on. You don't have to scream to be heard. The results will echo for you. There's a quiet strength in patience, in not needing to respond to every jab, in letting the scoreboard do the talking. That kind of control is rare and dangerous. Because when you're not chasing validation, you're free. Free to train how you want, move how you want, evolve how you want. You're not boxed in by opinions. You're not led by trends. You're led by the standard you set for yourself. And that standard Force when no one's watching. When the lights are off. When the gym's empty. When you're tired and no one's there to hype you up. But you do the work anyway. That kind of strength doesn't need to be broadcast. It's felt, it's respected, it's feared. So stay quiet. Let them sleep on you. Let them forget, let them die. Because science isn't hiding, it's hunting. And when it's time to show what you've built in the dark, you won't need to say a word. The results will speak volumes. No luck, just legacy. No noise, just legacy. No noise. Just work. This is Motivated with CR7, where believers become legends.